Hello, and a warm welcome to our weekly show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. And we're delighted to have today as our guest, Weldon Johnson, co-founder of Let'sRun.com website. Hello, Weldon. Lovely to see you again, and a big thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you, Anna.
Great to see you. So today we'll be focusing on the results of the U.S. trials and U.S. perspectives for the World Championships in 2 weeks. But we had to delay our show last week as 2 out of 3 of our production team were very busy at the Mediterranean Games. So we need first to take a quick look at what's been happening in the week of 16 to 23 June before we come back to our guest. And here are the top picks. Starting, of course, with stadium events and Diamond League meeting in Paris on 18 June. So it was ladies' night at Charletti Stadium as the 2 world leads established in Paris, plus the third one, which were equaled, all came courtesy of female athletes. In the 3,000-meter steeplechase, Bahrain's Winfried Mutile-Yavi clocked 8:56.55, finishing almost 14 seconds ahead of her competitors after a solitary race. In second place, Ethiopia's Sembo Alemayehu improved the world under-18 best to 9:09.19, slashing almost 10 seconds off her previous age best, which she had set only 12 days before in Hengelo with 9:18.98. In the high jump, women, the Ukraine's world indoor champion Yaroslava Maruchik added 1 more centimeter to her previous best to win with 2 meters 01. And in the last race on the program, quadruple 100-meter world champion Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price equaled her own world lead with another impressive 10:67 after clocking the same time in Nairobi in early May. 2 area records were also improved in Paris. In the women's 100 hurdles, Nigeria's Toby Amusan improved her African record to 12:41, bettering by 100th the time she had set in the Diamond League final in Zurich last year. In the men's 800-meter, Australia's Peter Ball placed second behind Frenchman Benjamin Robert with 1:44.00, a new Oceania record, further improving the mark he had bettered twice in the Olympic Games last year. And I would like to highlight another result from Paris, where Japanese thrower Haruka Kitaguchi became the first athlete from her country to win a Diamond League meeting, taking the javelin throw with 63.13 meters. Other notable marks from that week included the following world leads. Among the men, Olympic champion Daniel Stahl threw his discus to a brilliant 71.47 meters world lead on 21st June at the Swedish team championships in Uppsala. And among the women, on 16 June in Shanghai, Chinese shot putter Song Yajuan improved her own world lead to 20.38 meters. Double world indoor gold medalist Sandy Morris equaled her 4:81 world lead in Barletta, Italy on 18 June. And on 21st June in Brno, Czech Republic, the Ukraine's Yaroslava Maruchik added 2 more centimeters to the world lead she had set just 3 days earlier, clearing 2 meters 03. But it's time to come back to our guest and focus on events from the past week. So the US Championships and trials for the World Championships were held from 23 to 26 June and saw some fabulous competitions, highlighted by another world record by 400-meter hurdler Sydney McLaughlin, who finished way ahead of her competitors in 51:41. It was the 3rd world record for McLaughlin in her last 4 400-meter hurdles finals after the first one she had set at Hayward Field during the 2021 US trials, which she improved in the Olympic final in Tokyo. And in her debut this year, she had run 51.61 with little competition and hampered by a misplaced hurdle. Amazing talent. Now, Weldon, as usual, the event came with a dose of drama, and several top athletes had a bad day and didn't make the team. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The U.S. championships are so deep that half the time we end up talking about who didn't make the team, when the performances on the track oftentimes are just as good as the Olympics or World Championships. But the biggest story in the U.S. and who didn't make it was Sha'Carri Richardson. She was last year's champion before she was disqualified for testing positive for marijuana, so she missed the Olympics. But she has a profile outside of track. She's on the national morning shows here last year. A lot of people who don't follow track as a sport know her. She's very outspoken. She's got a very unique style. And she completely flamed out in the 100 meters. I mean, didn't even make the second round, which is, it's still almost incomprehensible. So that was, I think, for the U.S. public at large, that's probably the biggest story, which is crazy, because Sydney McLaughlin's world records, we shouldn't take them for granted, but I've never seen someone do this on the track. It's like Sergei Bubka when I was a kid. He would just, raise the bar 1 centimeter at a time, but every time out, didn't even look like a perfect run. She breaks the world record. So we could really see some fabulous things in 3 weeks' time back in Eugene.
Wow. Now there are a couple other surprises. Tara Davis, Olympic finalist, who didn't qualify in the long jump. Maggie Malone, 3 fouls in the javelin, and she's the world leader this year. Plus Cole Hawker in first in the first round of 1500, which people weren't exactly expecting, were they?
No, definitely not. I mean, Let'sRun.com is a primarily distance-focused website and also American primarily focused. And people were very excited about Cole Hawker last year. It sort of came out of nowhere, make the Olympic final, ran 3:31. So I think every country wants to know who their next great miler is. So there was a lot of hope with the Worlds being in Eugene. He went to the University of Oregon. That's his home track. Could we see some magic at Worlds? So it's unfortunate, but he got injured a couple weeks ago and just wasn't himself. His teammate and training partner, Cooper Tier, who until this year was sort of known more as a 5,000 meter runner. He'd never run a 1,500 at a championship race. He won the 1,500. So the sort of Hayward faithful, the Oregon faithful, we'll get to see that. And I think the beauty of the U.S. trials is, yeah, you can be a world leader. You can be an Olympian last year. If you don't deliver that day, you're not going to the Worlds. I personally love the system. We have buys for defending world champions, and a lot of people at Let's Run, they want to get rid of the buys. They're like, no, make everybody show up and perform. Because, like Grant Holloway skipped the final, Nia Lee skipped the final, a couple people, but I don't know. I think the stat was, if you won the U.S. trials last year, you were just as likely, half those people made the team this year in that event, half the people missed. There's no room for error. A lot of events.
No, definitely very, very tough system, but at the same time, as you say, with such depth of talent in practically all events, it's the only fair system, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as a former athlete myself, maybe if you're one of the best people, you wish they had a selection system, but for for everyone else dreaming of making a team, making a Worlds, it's sort of the American way: put up or shut up. No favoritism.
Yeah, but at the same time, World Championships and Olympic Games is the same thing. You don't earn a medal based on ranking of your performances throughout the year. You base them on what, you get them or don't get them based on what you deliver on that particular day.
Yep, for sure.
So let's have a look now. Let's look at it by group of events, starting with the sprints and hurdles. Now, I know it's difficult to choose because there were so many amazing performances in this area, but where were the top highlights from sprint and hurdles?
I mean, the number one highlight has to be the men's 200 meters. You had Arian Knighton, who's run 1949 this year, versus Noah Lyles, defending champion. I mean, Noah Lyles he used to be the young kid in this event. And Knighton, he's only 18 years of age, just graduated from high school in the United States. He had run the world leader. Lyles didn't have to run the final. He had the bye into the world championships because he's the defending champion. And they squared off in the final, and it was wonderful. I mean, Knighton got a huge lead, and he's run 1949. Like, I don't see how you run him down. And Noah Lyles runs him down, kind of gives this, yeah, there it is right there on the screen. Points over at him, and he wins by, I think, 0.01. How can you point and be that confident? But afterwards, Noah, as he says in that tweet, the point wasn't to disrespect Arian Knighton. It was sort of to kind of remind the people who counted him out that I'm still here. So I think this could be the race. Well, you can't say this is going to be the race at the World Championships, but it's been one of the most anticipated ones because they raced at the USA's. It was so close. And then now in 3 weeks, they're going to do it again. And they're both so good. Two of the best ever at the 200. So I don't know if it was a good idea for Noah to, poke or upset Arian. But who knows? I mean, he definitely ran this race right to send a message. He didn't have to run. So I think there might have been some strategy or maybe he just wanted to get a good one in himself. But the sort of boxing mentality, you don't see. People try to get in others' minds. Track, a lot of times it's you're just trying to do your best. What sort of time can you put up? And you can't influence people that much in a sprint, but there's subtle ways you can. And I think he sent some sort of message.
He definitely did. And as you say, I think it has to be pointed out that Noah Lyles didn't have to run because as defending champion, but he's actually the only one who did contest, not only the first round, he actually ran and he won the event. So hats off to Noah for that. Then, of course, it's also a big clash of personalities because Noah is a lot more extrovert and, openly speaking his mind, and Arian is a lot calmer, more introverted guy. So that does add some spice to it. I would probably prefer Arian's style, if I have to be honest, but it definitely does add some peps to already a wonderful competition between two great athletes.
Yeah, because Noah, like off the track, he's sort of very thoughtful, can be kind of quiet. But when he gets on there, there's a different persona. He was pointing up at the sky before he started, a little showmanship from Bolt and kind of like Bolt. And then I don't know if this was shown on the international broadcast, but right after the race, NBC, the race was on NBC, they did an interview with all three of them. They would sort of do this with every race, the top three who made the team. And they're talking to Noah. And I mean, Arian's right next to him. And they're like, what happened? And he's like, he had a big lead, but I knew I was going to run him down. I've got the best top speed. And it was disrespectful isn't the right word, but I'm like, whoa, he's sort of like insulting Arian Knighton right in front of him. And Knighton just kind of stood there. And then they said, Knighton, Arian, what do you think? And he's like, essentially, this will be settled at the Worlds. This isn't over. And he walked off, not in a rude way either. He just sort of like, I answered my question. I'm gone. He just leaves the national television interview. So I think we're going to have a lot more there. And yeah, I think personally, it's just great. The sport needs more rivalries to sort of spice things up. I mean, the action on the track, right? That event takes 19 seconds. So I think one of the best things about Worlds is like the USA track meet was 4 days. At Worlds, this is dragged out over 10 days, 11 days? I can't count. But so for each event, there's the anticipation, the lead up to the event, in 1 hour you might have one final or two finals, but then they talk about the backstories. You need some of this stuff, whereas a traditional track meet, everything's sort of, it's great, but everything's crammed in 2 hours, and you can't get some of the backstories. There isn't some of the anticipation. This is it. This is a one meet a year that really, really, really means something. And I think if you thought the U.S. trials had pressure, the Worlds has even more. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Now, as you said, 200 meters was probably the race of the championships, but you also had fantastic performances in the 100 meters and the 400 meters men.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Fred Curley, well, you speak of the 100 and the 400. Until last year, he was regarded as a 400-meter runner, and now he's America's best 100-meter runner. And last year at the trials, he ran the 100, and people were like, oh, he's kind of crazy. And he makes the team in third place. And I was like, okay, well, he made the team in third place, but you go to the Worlds, you're going to do worse. He goes to the Worlds, gets the silver medal. And now running the 100 full time, he's even better. He runs 9.77 and 9.76. He's the favorite in my book for the Worlds. But I mean, there's a lot of guys who could obviously challenge him. Marcel Jacobs, defending Olympic champion, returned at the Italian champs, and we'll have something to say. And Christian Coleman, Trayvon Brumell. There's a lot of other guys as well. But Fred Curley, what he's done, I was going to say it's unprecedented, but then Sharika Jackson at the Jamaican champs. She's a former 400 runner as well. I mean,
yeah.
She won the 100, and then she runs, 21:55, I think, in the 200, which is just incredible. So everything was great. And then Michael Norman, who I can't even remember what year it was, I guess before COVID. So that must have been 2019. Opened up so fast in the 400 that year, and everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's the future." The U.S. has such a strong tradition at 400. He's going to win the Worlds. Sort of flames out. He kind of experimented with the 100 during COVID, and had a lot of pressure last year at the Olympics. His mom is Japanese. Didn't quite get it done there, but he looks like his old 2019 self now. Like, he's got the rhythm. He says there's a rhythm in the 400. He clearly has that now. He won the trials 43 mid, so great time there, and I think he's back. Kenny Harrison, I don't know why people doubt her. I thought she was going to lose. Alicia Johnson sort of been the breakout sensation in the U.S. this year, but she is the world record holder in the 100-meter hurdles. She won the U.S. champs only by 0.01, but it was a world-leading time. So there's just so much talent, so many great events right now. And big picture from the U.S., the men at the Olympics, it was individually not individually, as a collective whole, was very poor. We didn't win a single gold medal on the track. I think we won the 4x4. That was it. And now going into the World Championships, conceivably we could win every single gold medal on the track for the men. But I think heading into the Olympics last year, you probably thought the U.S. might win half of them, and we didn't win any. So that's the beauty. You got to do it again.
No, definitely. Absolutely. As you say, totally impressive results. First of all, to go back to the 400 meters, now running 100 on a different level, not quite as top as Curly, but Dominican Republic's Alexander Ogando, he was also a 400-meter runner until a couple of years ago, and now he's setting national records with very good overall times in both 100 and 400. So definitely there's like not such a strict demarcation as there used to be between the 100, 200 and the 400. There's athletes who are super talented, who are proving that they can come down to the shorter distance and be super efficient. And I think, even though I'm not thrilled that Fred Curley definitely is the favorite, Marcel Jacobs was out for 6 weeks. It'll be difficult for him to be sharp in Eugene. We'll see what he does tonight in the Stockholm Diamond League, but I would definitely agree that Fred Curley is the number one. And Kenny Harrison, I mean, running 12:34 into a headwind of 1.4 meters per second, that's pretty amazing. I think Jasmine Camacho Quinn will give her a hard run for her money, and Alicia Johnson as well, but that's going to be another super interesting race in Eugene.
Yeah, I think if you probably put it in one of those wind calculators, that might have been statistically the greatest 100-meter hurdle race ever run. But the other thing to take into account is the track in Eugene is super fast.
Yeah.
It's, you know, maybe for the sprints, the fastest in the world. So some of these times you got to think, okay, so if you're running, I don't know, you know, it might 0.1 faster somewhere else, you know, or you need to subtract 0.1 from time somewhere else. And I mean, heading into the Olympics last year, right? Nobody was talking about Marcel Jacobs.
Yeah.
And he knows how to bring it. He showed up at World Indoors this year and did it. So the only problem is he's got, I mean, crazy, like less than, 2 weeks and a day, I think or 2 weeks and 2 days from today. So not a ton of time. It'll be interesting to see what he does in Stockholm tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Now, another impressive result and another world lead is Rai Benjamin, 47:04. That's another statement from U.S. Sprinters and hurdlers.
Yeah. I mean, without Karsten Warholm, everybody would say, oh, this is the greatest, maybe, you know, he wouldn't have the body of work, but he would be the fastest 400-meter hurdler of all time and running so well this year. And with Warholm being injured, I think this could be, you know, U.S. championships on home soil. This is his moment to shine for sure. It'll be better if Warholm is there and healthy and they can go head to head, but either way, he's running at a tremendous level.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if Karsten does manage to run, and again, what conditions he'll be in after having been stopped by injury. And let's not forget Alison Dos Santos, who had a good season so far. So the race is not going to be as exciting without Karsten in top form, but still is going to be another great highlight.
Yeah, I mean, all three of them are amazing. I'm glad you mentioned Dos Santos because he's not American, so he doesn't get the attention here. And Warholm broke the record, but he's very young. He's very fast. He easily could win this thing. So they're three of the greatest ever at this event.
So well done. Let's move to Let'sRun.com favorite territory, middle and long distances.
All right. I mean, for me, the highlight or the best race was the women's 800.
Yeah.
I think Mo, you know, breakout Olympic champion last year, so young, 19 at the time. I think she just turned 20. And everyone's like, okay, who can beat her? Keely Hutchinson is pretty much the same age from Great Britain. So they're like, okay, they're going to have this great rivalry, but they're so much better than everybody else. And the greatest 800-meter runner ever in the U.S. until last year, Ajay Wilson, she's never done it on the Olympic level. And you're kind of thinking, okay, she's got to be a little bit past her prime now. I mean, there's these young people coming up, but she nearly beat a thing at the trials. I mean, she pulled ahead. I don't know. I still don't know how a thing came back. Like, usually you can just tell if somebody passes somebody right before the finish and they've been way behind, there's no chance. And I think sees her and just kind of speeds back up a bit. I don't know if Ajay tightened up, you know, thinking she had it too much, because at that point you have so much lactic acid buildup and that sort of stuff. You'll see people totally lose their form. But great battle. And Ajay looked great in all the rounds. She's been experimenting with some different stuff, different race tactics this year. She used to just go to the front and lead. And I think trying different race tactics, one, it's helpful because most likely I think Mo's going to take the lead, but it can let her just focus on kicking at the end of the race she looked great. I mean, I don't know if she can run 155 at the Worlds. I think that'll probably be what it takes, but she's got the talent. She's at that level at her best. So I would love to see them go head to head. And that'll be the final day of the World Championships as well, the 800 final. So looking ahead, if you look at sort of the distance medal hopes, the U.S. best chances are the women's 800.
Yeah.
I would think we could easily get 2 medals. I mean, conceivably, you could even sweep them with Raven Rogers as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily also only get 1 medal, but there's a chance we have no distance medals until the final day. It'd be a great way to end the championships with the U.S. doing very well.
Definitely. Maybe the world indoor title that Ajay Wilson won this winter, maybe it helped her confidence somewhat. I'm not sure. But in any case, I saw this fantastic stat on Let'sRun.com website that since 2013, she made every single world and Olympic team and indoors team and never finished outside the top 3, except in 2015 US indoors when she fell. What amazing consistency.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we kind of took her for granted until,
yeah.
So just on a, personal level, they say journalists aren't supposed to root, but I definitely root for Ajay. I mean, she's been great for the sport in the U.S. and since she hasn't been able to do it at the Olympics, I'd love to see her get it done, on U.S. soil or have a great run. I mean, I think Mo's a great ambassador for the sport as well. So the future is very bright in that event, just in general, because there used to be, controversy is not the right word, but you had all the DSD athletes in the 800 meters. So there's been sort of a lot of focus on stuff not on the track. And I think the level is very high right now. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, definitely one of the most exciting events on the program. Women's 800 is going to be absolutely brilliant, and I'm looking forward to that too. Other highlights on your part from middle and long distances?
I'm trying to think. Well, I thought of one low light. Well, not low light, but Paul Chelimo, a 2-time Olympic medalist. He didn't make the team. He hasn't been running well this year, but with social media these days, he posted this crazy, I think it was either 12 by 400 or 16 by 400 workout on the internet and people were like, oh my gosh, he's in great shape. He's in 1250 shape, but clearly that wasn't the case. So there's some hope in Grant Fisher, who broke the U.S. 10K record outdoors and the indoor 5K record this year. He looked great in the 5K, ran a meet record, and it was very hot. So there's some hope that possibly he could contend for a medal. I think his chances are actually better in the 10K. The 5K is so loaded this year at Worlds. Yeah. So, but Grant had never won a U.S. title. It just shows how hard it is, even in the distances. Like, despite his pedigree, he broke the American record at 10,000 meters earlier this year, and then he didn't win the U.S. championships in the 10,000 because it was a slow race. So it was good to see him get his first U.S. title. In the steeplechase, Emma Coburn, another person who we sort of take for granted, like we used to do with Ajay and kind of do with Sydney. I mean, it's crazy that I expect the world records from her, but Emma won her 8th straight U.S. title, 10th overall. She's never lost. And you think, okay, well, it's U.S. distance running. It's not that competitive. But you have Courtney Frericks, who is actually the American record holder, Olympic silver medalist, had one of the gutsiest races I've ever seen in the Olympics last year. I mean, she's been racing Emma, I don't know, probably the last 5 years at the USA's, and Emma beats her every single time. So great performance there.
No, definitely. Okay, now another area where the US is very strong are team field events. Now, the one which obviously stands out is Ryan Krauser. I mean, he had a humongous competition, winning with a world-leading 23 meters 12, and he also threw 23.11, 23.01, and 22.98. And it's the first time that 23 meters has been broken more than once in a series. Now, just imagine being Joe Kovacs. You throw a massive 22.87, yet someone throws further, not once, not twice, but 4 times. Now, maybe Kovacs can take heart from the fact that he has already won 2 world championships in 2:15 and 2:19 and was silver in between, while Krauser still doesn't have a single world title, indoor or outdoor, though he does, of course, have 2 Olympic golds.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I was looking at the all-time shot put list, and Krauser dominates it. But one thing they only put on there is your best throw from the meet. They don't, like, if you throw, 22.98 and 23.05 and 23.10, they only show the 23.10. I would love to see it counting even all of his series, because it would be even more impressive. But I mean, yeah, nobody throws under 23 meters except for him, and he does it 3 times at one meet. It's sort of crazy that he's never won the worlds. But Joe Kovacs is so good. I mean, without Krauser, essentially we would have, Randy Barnes was for sure a convicted drug cheat, and then I think an East German, and then it's Kovacs on the all-time list. So it's a strong performances all the way around. And Krauser went to he's from Oregon originally, so he'll have a lot of people cheering for him at Worlds.
Definitely, as you say, but there was a crazy stat somebody is tracking all the throws above 22 meters 50 by Ryan Krauser, and we had that stat just after the Rio Olympics last year. Now, since then, obviously, it's gone way up, but the number of throws he had above 22 meters 50 was just mega impressive, and a lot more than all his competitors put together. So really impressive consistency.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what he's doing. He's changed the sport. I mean, or what we thought was possible. And he does it. It's expected now. I expect him to nominate. Like, I think Kovacs had the lead after maybe a couple rounds, and you're like, whoa, could Krauser lose? And then at the end of the competition, it's like, oh wait, no contest. He threw 3 times over 23 meters. His fourth is 22.98. You're like, wait, he was losing? He wasn't losing, was he? Like, that's not possible.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Now, women's shot put, not quite the same level, but very good performance by Chase Ely.
Yeah, she's very good. I mean, she keeps PRing like every single meet. I mean, she conceivably could, win the gold medal at Worlds. And she didn't even make the U.S. Olympic team last year. So I think in 2019, she was like 7th at the Worlds. So she's made teams before, but what she's doing is a huge, huge surprise this year. I mean, she might be one of the biggest breakout performers of the year.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Valerie Allman, she didn't need to throw an impressive distance at the U.S. Championships, but she's had a fabulous year, throwing over 71 meters in the discus and just really dominating her event, even though Sandra Perkovic is always there for a fight.
Yeah, they should. I mean, she's very good, obviously, and it's, you do like something like that, right? You don't want something to go wrong or, foul out, not make the team. So yeah. I think somebody like that, where you're a huge favorite in your event, just make sure you get one foul, one throw in, get something in there early, make sure you're going to make the team, and worry about the absolute level at the Worlds, because, no one really else can, there's very few people who can challenge her.
Yeah, definitely. Now, high jump, Shelby McEwen, 2:33 PB, that's not bad. And I was happy to see Javon Harrison, who'd actually made the team in both the long jump and the high jump, but who was only 11th in the long jump. I was glad to see him clearing 2:30 to make the world championships in high jump.
Yeah, no, he's been really struggling in the long jump this year, but I'm glad he made the team and won, because even at the Olympics last year, he got a lot of attention. I mean, what he's doing is it's very unique, right? To be that good at both events at the same meet, same time. So I think he could be let's say he gets it right for the Paris Olympics or something, he could be sort of like a breakout star. But I don't know what's happened to his long jumping this year, but to make the team, now he's got to see what he can do at the Worlds.
Mm-mm. And finally, the other athlete who's been dominant this year is pole vaulter Sandy Morris. 492, vastly improving her world lead. So really good performances by Sandy throughout the whole year.
Yeah, she seems to be back to her old form. She actually switched coaches to Olympic champion Katie Najat's coach, which is sort of interesting because now she's doing better than Katie. I mean, you're Katie, you're the Olympic champ, and your coach takes on your number one rival. I don't know how that works. I don't know what the rules are on that, but they both say, "Oh, it's great. It's going to raise the bar." And I think probably mentally for Katie, if you're the Olympic champ, there was probably so much, off the track stuff. She had probably more endorsement stuff, that sort of stuff. Just dealing with that, you have a new level of fame. Then mentally, there's got to be some just sort of like, whoa, now what? And it probably takes a little time to get refocused. Whereas if you're Sandy, you're like, whoa, I'm not only not the best in the world, I'm not even the best in the US. There's no doubt. I got a new coach. I'm just gonna go at it. She was probably driven from, the day after the Olympics to get back where she is right now.
Yeah, definitely. That certainly played a part. Okay, so let's recap the world leads set at the US Championships. So in the men, on 23 June, Fred Curley, he ran 9:83 in the heats. And the next day, he ran 9:76 in the semifinal and 9:77 in the final some hours later. On 25 June, Michael Norman, 400 meters, 43:56. 26 June, Rai Benjamin, 400 hurdles, 47:04. And Ryan Krauser on 24 June, 23 meters in the shot put. Absolutely fabulous. Among the women, on 25 June, Kenny Harrison in the 100 hurdles, 12:34, as we saw against a headwind of 1.4. Sydney McLaughlin on the same day, 400-meter hurdles, 51:41 world record. 24 June, Sandy Morris. I said 492 earlier, it was 482 in the pole vault. And on 26 June, Chase Ely in the shot put, 20 meters, 51. Brilliant results. And as you say, that really bodes well for some fireworks at the World Championships.
I didn't realize Fred Curley ran a world leader in the first round.
Yeah. He had an amazing championship, definitely. So Weldon, what were your personal highlights from the trials?
I think the women's 800, I'll go back to that. I love seeing Ajay Wilson back, able to challenge Athing-Mu, because there's something about greatness in an event. Like if Keely Hutchinson could challenge her, but if a thing just dusts everybody, after a while, it's sort of, I don't know, gets boring isn't the right word, but if there's some drama, there's some question mark who's going to win, it makes it even better. And having to rise up and beat someone makes it even better, right? Like we're talking about Ryan Krauser. Well, if Joe Kovacs isn't there, is Ryan Krauser as good? And Sydney McLaughlin, she's been having to beat Dola Muhammad. She didn't have to do it this time, but the rivalry the competition is better than even just like sort of like a time trial or world record, in my opinion. Like when there's doubt on who's going to win, it's even better. And I think great competitions push people to their best. So that was my highlight, number one highlight.
Definitely makes things more exciting when you have a strong rivalry, especially when it's two athletes from the same country. That really gives the home fans something to talk about and cheer about.
Yeah, for sure. And well, I don't know if we want to talk about the Worlds yet. The one thing the U.S. Championships did not have was a lot of fans. I mean, it's the worst attended U.S. Championship in Eugene probably ever. And now stuff's very expensive right now. Flights are very expensive in the United States. Eugene's hard to get to. Like, I personally didn't go to the meet. I'm going back to Worlds. And I think a lot of people, we had people there covering it for Let's Run, but they had the NCAA championships just before that sort of stuff. The thing I'm really looking forward to is having a packed. Phil Knight doesn't like us calling it the new Hayward Field, but it is new. It's a beautiful stadium. I mean, people who are going to be there for the first time, it's the premier track and field stadium in the world. So, but to see it packed with fans, that's going to make it even better. And primetime TV audiences, that sort of stuff, will give the performances the stage that they deserve. The U.S. Championships were on national TV, I think I saw some TV numbers. They had like 1 million viewers, which is pretty standard or pretty good, But the Worlds, I was looking, the stuff on the weekends is going to be primetime NBC at night, which is very unique. Usually the World Championships here, they're not on, they're on earlier in the day, that sort of stuff. But I didn't realize, World Athletics has pretty much let the U.S. focus on itself and the timing of these events. I thought they might be earlier actually out in California, but it's set up to be so it can be prime time in the U.S. on the weekends. So my apologies to everybody watching in Europe. You're going to have to wake up very early or stay up very late to watch some of this stuff. But
no, definitely. And that was something I was going to ask. Is the big question is for the World Championships in Eugene, you believe this will really help give a permanent boost to track and field in the U.S., increase the athletes' popularities and make them stars in their own country? Because as we saw, as you mentioned, spectator figures were not very good. Even TV viewership was not great. It's true that there was maybe a bit too many competitions taking place in Eugene with the NCAAs and everything. So it's like people maybe are getting a little bit, saturated. But hopefully for the World Championships, it'll be a different matter, and they'll all be there, and it will really help boost the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt, right? People have been throwing it out. I mean, I can't believe the Worlds are, I shouldn't say already here because they got delayed a year because of COVID. But this date was out there. Eugene originally is 2021. Oh, we'll have a home Worlds. It was so unique that we won this thing. It'll be great. Tracktown USA, track will become popular in the United States. And that's just, it's not how it works. It's too simplistic a picture. I mean, we had the skiing World Championships, I think in the US. I don't know what year, but I went skiing at Vail this year, and I'm pretty sure that's where they were because they had some banners or something. And I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to know that skiing's popular now because the World Championships were here. So, but the good thing is it will get a little more attention. It will be prime time at night. So more people, I don't know. I think sometimes like the Worlds will get 3 million TV viewers. Prime time at night, maybe we get 8. So that's more people exposed. So we got to make incremental steps. And then we have the Olympics back here in 2028 in LA. And I mean, as a kid, I remember the 84 Olympics. It's sort of my first memory of track and field. So I think that'll be the huge opportunity because just the national media, everybody will be talking about the Olympics for, a year in advance, whatever, building up. So having these two things 6 years apart, it's definitely going to help. but to pretend that, we're going to wake up on July 25th, the day after the World Championships, and track's going to be at a whole nother level in the U.S. is crazy. It's not how anything works. So maybe we need to take it like, well, football, as you guys say, or soccer here, like they've been making incremental gains and the sports are more popular.
Yeah, definitely. So, Weldon, as we get close to the big one in Eugene, let's take a look back at the first half of 2022 and tell us, what were your favorite athletics moments so far this year?
I'm trying to think of anything besides U.S. championships. I mean, for me personally, the Boston Marathon was great. Just being there, and I walked in. I went to a few events last year. Like I went to the Olympic trials and that sort of stuff. The New York City Marathon is nearby, but I don't know. I think with COVID in the winter, that sort of stuff. I walked into Boston. In Boston, it's all about tradition. Like the media room is the same media room it's always been, that sort of stuff. I just felt like, wow, we're back to normal. I mean, some of the athletes wore face masks for interviews, but it just seemed very normal. It was great to be back at an event. I mean, Perez Chip Churcher won a great sprint finish. And, now she's Olympic champ, New York champ, Boston champ. But that was almost secondary to just like, hey, this year we're going to be back to events with fans. And so kind of personally, that was a highlight. And then I think besides that, the men's 200 at the U.S. championships. I love that. We need more rivalries. It doesn't get any closer than that, 0.01 and then a little smack talk as well. So I was hoping that event would deliver. And then if you had to ask him beforehand, hey, will Lyles run the final? I probably would have said no. They all say they're going to do it, and then they don't. So the fact that it actually happened, it's really whet my appetite for the Worlds. What about you, Anna? Do you have a favorite?
Well, I have a couple of favorites. I mean, Arion Knighton, 1949, that's pretty amazing. Wow. And yeah, as you said, this rivalry with Noah in the final of the U.S. champs is going to be good for the sport. So yeah, I mean, there were so many great events. I think throws have been absolutely amazing this year, especially among the men. They've chalked up some fantastic results. So I think it's been a great year. U.S. championships have been fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to what's coming along, because then you have athletes from other continents. I mean, we'll talk about Jamaica in a short while, but you have people like Marilady Paulino in the 400 who can do very well. You have athletes from all over the world. I mean, Korea is tops in the high jump. Who would have expected that 2 years ago, So I think it's really open in many areas, and I like that. I like it when there's different countries challenging for top spots.
Yeah, you always do a good job of giving the international perspective. But yeah, you see that, you're like, wait, Korea's winning doing really well in the high jump. And one other moment, and this is sort of, was Devin Allen running 12:84 at the New York City meet. And this is even sort of, I don't know, more relevant now, because it turned out he made the team. He was third at the U.S. championships, but it turned out his dad died like over the weekend before the final. I mean, it's really sad. So, my thoughts and prayers out to his family. But even before that, one of my favorite moments was everyone in the U.S. is focused on Grant Holloway. He's, done it in the past. And kind of the expectation is he's got the talent to break the world record. And then Devin Allen beats him at this New York City meet. His last 3 hurdles were amazing. He runs 12:84. Yeah. And you're like, whoa, could Devin Allen break the world record? Could he win the Worlds? And he went to college at the University of Oregon, so this will be his home track. And he also announced this year he's going to try to play professional NFL football So he's been signed by the Philadelphia Eagles. And he kind of said, "Oh, I'm going to break the world record and then go play football." And people are like, "Okay, Devin, like you can say you're going to break the world record, but it's not going to happen." And that performance was amazing. And then just to see what subsequently happened with his dad, it's just so sad. But it should be just a reminder to us all, like just cherish every single moment. Like you don't know what's going to happen. Like if Devin Allen never runs faster, that's still an amazing performance, right? Like we're always focused on the next big thing or whatever. Just I don't know. That because that performance was so shocking to me. It was one of my favorite. When I'm surprised as a track fan, like as a journalist, I think you can become a bit jaded. You just that's not a world record or whatever. But so when people shock you, it's those are always my favorite moments.
Mm-mm. No, definitely that was something very, very special. And I mean, I saw Devon Allen a few days later at the Diamond League meeting in Paris, and I hadn't met him until now. And I must say, he comes across as a really, really genuinely nice guy. And I mean, losing his dad and his mom not telling him so as not to, upset him during the competition, that really is dramatic. And as you say, all our thoughts and prayers for the family. And brilliant athlete and great stories in the sport.
Yeah.
So thank you, Weldon. Let's move now to other NACAC championships news. In Jamaica, the winners of the 100 meters for both men and women were not what most people would have predicted, and they both went on to double in the 200. So Sharika Jackson first took the 100 meters title in 1077, becoming the first Jamaican woman to win national titles at 100, 200, and 400. Then now Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, we must not forget, had set the best time in the heats with 1070, but she didn't need to go any further in the competition, so she didn't run in the final. But Elaine Thompson did, and she complained after the race because they had a longer delay because there was an equipment malfunction. Then Sharika Jackson doubled in the 200 meters with a sizzling 21:55, third best mark of all time, beating both Elaine and Shelly-Ann, who were there. So amazing, Sharika Jackson, and definitely somebody who's been there for many, many years, but now looks like she could win at least one gold medal. And in the 100-meter men, 32-year-old 2011 world champion, the beast, Johan Blake, won the title with 9:85, his fastest race since 2012. And he, now there's something which is not 100% sure, because in the 100, it's Andrew Hudson who won the race in 2010, but he was running apparently out of competition. He's a US athlete. He's apparently asked for a transfer of allegiance to Jamaica, but it's not sure if he'll get it on time. So Johan Blake officially first among the Jamaicans with 20:31, 2020 in the semifinals. So that's quite impressive. But as we say, we need to see if Andrew Hudson will obtain his transfer of allegiance in time. There's another athlete who competed out of competition at Jamaican Championships as a foreigner, British middle distance runner Adele Tracy, and she was granted her transfer of allegiance to Jamaica on the Monday following the championships on 27 June. So she will be able to compete for her adopted country in Eugene. Now, I don't know about you, Weldon, but I'm delighted to see Johan Blake at the top. He's an athlete that I really, really appreciate.
It's crazy. He had not run this fast in 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you would see his name and I'm like, okay, well, I guess he can still compete, but he was such a shell, I thought, of his former self. I'm like, I thought his best days were so far behind him. I mean, it's shocking. The last time he ran this fast was 2012. But, I mean, he's run, so fast. I think 1931 at 200. I think now, obviously, the 200 is his best. But Justin Gatlin had such kind of, his career had this break for, the drug suspension, which is a different situation, but he showed that top male sprinters can perform at an older age than we thought. So maybe he's clearly figured something out. It's good to see. We need a good Jamaican sprinter. I feel like, if it's without Bolt, people are like, where is this event? And there's some intrigue with the Americans, but heading into the Olympics, I'm like, wait, there's no good Jamaican. Like, is it just sort of going to be a tri-meet of the Americans, or what's going to happen? You got some Kenyan guys now, that sort of stuff. And then Marcel Jacobs sort of comes out of nowhere. So throw Blake in the mix now, it'll be great.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, the Jamaican women have been absolutely brilliant in the sprints, but the men, they had not been as good after Usain Bolt retired. So it's good to see Johan back to get some more competition into that event. So let's have a look now at a video that Javier Clavelo sent us, analyzing top marks in the national championships of several NACAC countries.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, it was a very busy weekend for athletes in the Western Hemisphere National Championships. That was the National Championships window, and of course demonstrated how well prepared they are for the upcoming World Championships coming as early as July the 15th in Eugene, Oregon. Let's start north of the continent in Canada. We'll have Aaron Brown, another proud father of Kingsley, dominating the sprint double at 100 and 200 meters, primarily in the longer distance with a season's best of 20:03, also very fast in the 100 with 10 seconds flat. Now a proud father of Kingsley, the anticipated showdown with multiple world and Olympic medalists, as well as 200-meter world Olympic champion Andre de Grasse, did not materialize as Andre contracted COVID. So, but again, Aaron was excellent. Jerome Blake was his closest rival in the sprints. Other performances of note, of course, Sarah Minton becoming the first Canadian to throw over 20 meters in the shot put, a world lead of 20:33. That was only a world lead for the day, but certainly a major medal contender for these young athletes. Multiple, and also confirming their dominance in their respective events, we have Alicia Newman in the pole vault and Liz Glidle. For her, it was actually her 11th consecutive national title in the javelin. So switching over to the Caribbean, I will just look at impressive performances in Jamaica. No surprises here, but more importantly, Shariq Jackson, an Olympic medalist at 100 and 400 meters, now becoming the third fastest woman over 200 with 21:55. Was an impressive performance for her, ran an excellent curve, and now was certainly rewarded with this excellent time. Also, she was the champion in the 100 at 10:77, only 100 seconds off her personal best. She's now the only Jamaican woman to ever take the 1, 2, and 400 meters national titles across different years. Two of the fastest sprinters of all times. Double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson, her qualifying for both the 1 and 200, as well as defending world champion Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. She did not run the 100-meter finals. She already had a bye, but impressed in the prelims with 10:70. Also, she finished third in the 200 meters, so she will have the opportunity to run the double if so she wishes later this summer. Kemba Nelson, she came second in the 100 meters, so she will be the fourth Jamaican in the shorter sprint distance. And also of note, Tina Clayton, the world under-20 champion, becoming also breaking the Jamaican national record for ladies under the age of 20 with 10:96. So that was impressive performance by Clayton. Other performances of note in the men's division, Johan Blake producing his fastest time in 100 meters with 9:85, a close finish, followed by Oblique Seville 9:88 and Akeem Blake 9:93. So it's nice to see Jamaican male sprinters resurging in time for the world champions. Andrew Hudson, the winner in the 200 meters, and in the sprint hurdles, no problem for Hansel Parchment, the Olympic champion, as well as Britton Anderson, who just became victorious in over Olympic medalist Megan Tapper and former world champion Danielle Williams. They're all qualified to don the Jamaican uniform in Eugene. Tajay Gale, the defending world champion in the long jump, had a bad landing in the 5th round of the long jump. He was taken in a wheelchair. No ligament tear, so hopefully he will be recovered in time to defend his title in Eugene. Remaining in the Caribbean, now switching over to the Bahamas, we have Olympic champions Shoni Miller-Uibo, as well as Stephen Gardiner. No problems in their respective events over 400 meters. The most important performance in Nassau over the weekend was produced by world indoor silver medalist Devin Charlton, now with a new national record in the 100-meter hurdles at 12:60 seconds. And in Trinidad and Tobago, a former 200-meter world bronze medalist and now world indoor champion at 400 meters, Jareen Richards, at 1983, impressive over the half the lap, and also Kishore Walcott, the former Olympic champion in 2012, also in excellent form to be another contender in the men's javelin. And finally, we will have also two quarter mile specialists in the Dominican Republic. Alexander Ogando, remember, he anchored the Dominican Republic to an Olympic silver in the mixed relay in Tokyo. He now proved himself in the 110.09. Remember, he ran already a national record at 20.03 during the Diamond League in Paris. Fiordalisa Kofil, another 200, 400 meter specialist. Now she owns the national record for the Dominican Republic and the 100 version of her 11:14. So that's a summary of the most important performance produced over the weekend at various national championships in the Americas. And of course, a great expectation of what they can produce in a few weeks from now come the World Championships in Eugene, Oregon. Thank you, Anna, and I wish all the audience to enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Javier. Let's check now what else has been happening around the world. Cuban-born Jordan Diaz Fortuna, awaiting a transfer of allegiance to Spain, but already eligible to compete in the Spanish Championships, improved his own world lead to 18:77, and also had a wind-assisted 17:93 and regular 17:80. And among the women, as we saw, Sharika Jackson not only completed a sprint double over her more titled compatriots, but climbed to number 3 of all time in the 200 meters with 21:55. And let's take a look at other national championships news. At the Brazilian Championships, Rafael Pereira set an area record in the 110 hurdles with 13.17. The Ibero-American champion had already set the 60 meters indoor hurdles area record on 4 February this year, and then equaled it 4 more times between February and March. And another great performance came from the Serbian Championships, where 16-year-old high jumper Angelina Topic cleared 1.96 m, an under-18 world lead by 8 centimeters, and also the 5th equal in the 22 senior lists, and of course equals the world best under-18 mark, which was jointly held by 4 other women. Angelina is the daughter of 2 very talented athletes. Father Dragutin Topic was the 1990 European champion in high jump at age 19. He was 4th at the Olympic Games in Atlanta and took bronze at the World Indoors in 1997. And her mother, Biliana, was a triple jumper who placed 4th at the World Championships in Berlin 2009. She won 8 national championships, the first in 2002 and the last one in 2018, aged 40. Congratulations to a great athletics family, and I'm really excited to see how far Angelina can go. And congratulations to Ireland, who just held the 150th edition of its national championships, which were first contested in 1873 and never missed a beat since then. We'll be looking in more detail at results and World Championships prospects for Asia, South America, and Europe in the next 2 weeks. So top events next fortnight. Tonight, 30 June, we have the last Diamond League meeting before the World Championships in Stockholm. 2 regional games, both held every 4 years, start between today and tomorrow. Mediterranean Games take place in the athletics events, take place in Oran, Algeria, between tonight and 3 July. Athletics events at the Bolivarian Games are from the 1st to the 5th of July in Valledupar, Colombia. The Bolivarian Games are held in honor of Simón Bolívar, known as the liberator of South America, and were first held in Bogotá in 1938. They traditionally include athletes from Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, Peru, and Venezuela, with Chile added in 2010. On 3 July, Continental Tour Silver event in Edmonton, Canada. On July 4th, classic Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta, Georgia, apparently with some really good fields. And on 4 to 7 of July, the European Under-18 Championships will be held in Jerusalem. Now, looking ahead to the European Under-18, let's talk about an athlete who is likely to be one of the protagonists at the Continental event. We don't usually mention world leads for Under-18 athletes, but the case of Mattia Furlani is special, so we're making an exception. The young Italian set 2 Under-18 world leads in 2 days and in 2 different events. At the Italian Under-18 Championships in Milano, multi-talented Mattia first equaled the world lead in the long jump on 18 June with 7 meters 87, bettering the age category national record, which belonged to Andrew Howe. Now, Howe, we must remember, he set the national record when earning bronze at the Under-18 World Championships in Debrecen in 2001. He went on to a brilliant career, including double gold in long jump and triple jump at the 2004 Under-20 World Championships in Grosseto, before conquering long jump silver at the World Championships in 2007. And what is more amazing is that Furlani achieved this result after only a handful of competitions in long jump. The following day, Mattia set another World Under-18 lead in his main event, the high jump, clearing 2:16, alone this time at the top of the season's lists, where he had previously shared the top spot at 2 meters 15 with 2 other athletes. However, a late addition to the season list shows that Korean athlete Jinwoo Choi had in fact jumped 2020 at the beginning of June. Still, a great Under-18 championship for the versatile Mattia Furlani, whose parents, like Angelina Topic, were both athletes. Father Marcello was a high jumper, while mother Kati Sek was a sprinter. We'll see soon how he fares in Jerusalem. So we're now at the end of our program. It was great having Weldon with us on the show.
Thank you, Anna. I enjoyed it. And some of these 17 and 16-year-olds are amazing. I mean, yeah. I guess Area Knighton's only 18, but Angelina Topic is 16 years old. I mean, do you think she'll do the World Championships?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because there's also immediately after the World Championship, there's the Under-20 in Cali. So I'm not sure if her federation is going to send her to that event. It may be a bit much. I'm really, anxious to see what the Serbian Federation decides and which event they send her to. But she definitely is one amazing talent.
Yeah, our sport's amazing. I mean, we have all these different ages. people from all parts of the world. It really is the most universal, I think, the most beautiful sport. So
I totally agree. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Universality is athletics. Popularity is football, soccer, as you guys call it. That's also, no question about that. But universality, the number of champions from different countries, different continental areas. And as you say, this mix of really young athletes and experienced athletes who are still there at 30 plus, sometimes 35 plus, is just fantastic. I definitely love athletics.
Hence the name, right? You love athletics. It's a good name.
Absolutely. Not faking it, it's true. Thanks, Weldon. Lovely to see you as usual. And thank you all for watching. And see you next week on Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the past 7 days. And on 8 July, as we continue our previews by continent ahead of the World Championships in Eugene, we should be recording 2 shows, one focused on Latin America, plus the other one focused on Balkan countries and Asia, which we had to postpone last week. And on July 15th, the day the World Championships start, we'll conclude our previews with Europe. So we have some great weeks of athletics coming up. Stay tuned, enjoy, and see you soon. Thank you.